In the headlines, All Progressives Congress to expand Tinubu Campaign Council postpones inauguration. Court strikes out suit against varsity lecturers. Central Bank of Nigeria raises interest rate to 15.5%. And on the international scene, 50,000 people displaced in Cuba as Hurricane Ian surges. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Dashan Hussaina Usman. We begin with politics, where the Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress is making moves to expand its 422-member list of power brokers tasked with the job of to ensure victory for its presidential candidate Bola Tinubu and his running mate Kashim Shettima. The Director General of the PCC, Simon Lalong, in a statement late Monday, said the need for the expansion of the list is to accommodate more stakeholders and interests within the APC family. Lalong, who is also the governor of Plateau State, also announced the postponement of the inauguration of the council and the prayer walk earlier scheduled to kick off campaigns on Wednesday. Intrigue in the two major political parties' presidential campaign council is attracting attention of political pundits ahead of Wednesday's commencement of campaign. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that commentators believe that resolving political differences is necessary to accommodate conflicting interests. The report.
While the People's Democratic Party (PDP) resolves to move on with the campaign kick-up, with slight modification on the list to fill the vacuum created by the pullout of the camp of the embattled River State Governor Nyesom Wike from the council, the All Progressives Congress has postponed inauguration of its presidential campaign council.
No house that is ultimately 100% united. And like I said, politics is about conflict and conflict management. You cannot have 12 people without a Judas. There is no Garden of Eden without a serpent. So you definitely will have those who are going to disagree. We saw that also happening in APC.
It still remains a huge setback for Atiku, but it is also interesting that the Wike group is no longer the same since that pronouncement. Just yesterday, one of the major pillars in the group, Benue State Governor Otom, recanted, so to say, and he said he's now biking high.
The bone of contention in both political parties is the need to maintain relevance and protect personal and group interests in the run-up to the 2023 elections.
There is also the almighty governors. Since 2003, Nigerian governors, both for good and for ill, have managed to become the strongest bloc within the political space. In most cases, for selfish reasons, you cannot do anything without the governors. They usually bring their mighty weight to bear on all issues of governance. And the feelers that we are getting is that the governors do not feel included.
There are bound to be people who will not agree with it. But politics is about game of majority. Minority will have their say, majority will have their way. So you cannot wait until when everybody will be on the same page with it. Even as we go along, there will be those who will say, oh, you didn't come to my hometown to campaign, so you have not done us well. Or, issue of money can also bring about dissension.
While the pundits agree that it is normal in party politics to have dissenting voices, such, they say, must be properly handled to avoid a spiral effect on the overall success of the campaigns. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still in politics, the Federal High Court, one in Abeokuta, Ogun State, has nullified the state primary election of the People's Democratic Party that produced Ladia Debutu as the party's governorship candidate in 2023 general elections in the state and other state primary elections. Justice O. Oguntoyibo, during the sit-in in Abeokuta on Tuesday, ordered that the party should immediately conduct fresh governorship primaries to accommodate all interest groups. In education, the National Industrial Court Abuja has struck out a suit instituted by one Umar Lawal, the president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, asking the Academic Staff Union of Universities to call off its 7-month strike and return to school. Lawal had instituted the case on behalf of himself and the association. Justice Polycarp Haman struck out the suit on Tuesday after the counsel to Lawal, Debo Ikwesang, withdrew the suit on the grounds that the student body is challenging his position as president, denying that he is the leader of NANS as he had deposed to. Counsel to ASU, Marshal Abubakar, also informed the court that he is not opposing application to withdraw the suit. The outgoing president of the student body, Sunday Asefong, had approached the court claiming that Umar Lawal does not have the mandate of NANS to commence the action. The Senate has commenced debate on a bill for an act to provide for the rotation of power between the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. The bill, which passed the first reading earlier this year, is sponsored by Senator Abba Moro from Benue South. The bill is generating controversy as some senators argued that it will bring about unity and a sense of belonging for all, especially ethnic minorities, while others say it will go against the Constitution of Nigeria. However, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan advised that the sponsor of the bill to stand the bill down and rework it for a presentation with specific prayers. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives adjourned plenary on Tuesday over an interruption of power in the lower chamber. Speaker of the House, Femi Gbadabiamila, was compelled to call for an adjournment after the power went out. The situation forced the lawmakers to exit the chamber in darkness using their phone torchlights. The Transmission Company of Nigeria says the national grid, which collapsed earlier on Monday, has been restored. The restoration of the affected part of the grid commenced immediately after the collapse. While explaining the cause of the incident, the TCN said it was due to a sudden drop in system frequency, which created system instability. TCN's General Manager, Public Affairs, Ndidi Mba, said in a statement that the National Control Center said a full-scale investigation is being conducted to establish and ascertain the cause of the partial disturbance, as the unwholesome event has resulted in aggregate generation loss. Monday's incident is the latest in the series of blackouts in the country owing to the incessant collapse of the national grid. The national grid had collapsed 8 times this year, with the last one coming in July. It equally collapsed in June, March and April 2022. On a sad note, the recent flood which affected Patigi local government area in Kwara State has claimed 9 lives and destroyed thousands of farmlands and houses. This necessitated the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPERDEC, to sponsor a bill to criminalize those who refuse to vacate the riverbank across the country. The HYPERDEC, while distributing relief materials worth 50 million naira to the victims, urged them to vacate the riverbank for their safety. The report.
Yearly, those living in the river banks across Patigi local government area of Kwara State usually experience floods due to release of excess water from River Niger and Benue. This year, more than 2,800 people were affected as their houses and farms were destroyed. Those who refused to vacate the area became victims of the flood as they travel in poorly made local canoes constructed orally, transporting goods.
For free, the canoe is being operated by individuals. Like I said before, the machine, they do take a machine with the Huna, 2,500. A single passenger, that's 1,500. That's how they charge. A canoe can only go once a day, based on the distance. It's too far.
At the distribution of relief materials, the managing director, HYPERDEC, said the federal government has made efforts to relocate those living at the riverbank, but was unsuccessful. A bill, he said, will soon be presented to the National Assembly to criminalize those who refuse to move out of the danger zone.
We have received a report of between 5 to 7 people that have lost their life so far.
This year alone?
Yes. 5 to 7 people that have lost their life. We From the need assessment we carried out before our intervention, we estimated the number of 1,200 households and about 2,800 people were affected, in particular local government alone. We have procured 1,300 mattresses, 500 bags of rice, 200 bags of bathing soap, 250 bags of washing soaps, and other detergents. We are going to use the senators from our zone, the House of Rep members from our zone, to help us pass a bill that will make people not to live along the riverine area for a certain distance of kilometers.
One of the victims who appreciated the commission's gestures called on government to provide a permanent site for the victims so as to guard against future occurrences.
We thank God that we have the canoes. If not, we can lose some people's their life. So it's affecting our farms, affecting our house, affecting all the goods that we are having. So now we just need the assist from the government. The government should be assisting us to be able to giving us what we are required, where we can settle down our families. The government to supply, to help us what we can eat and what we can use to farm.
Nearly 1,300 households were destroyed in the recent flood affecting 2,800 people.
The House of Representatives have asked the Minister of Works and Housing to urgently direct the contractor rehabilitating the Abuja-Kaduna Highway to return to site after the company withdrew its workers over fear of insecurity. Coming under matter of urgent public importance, a lawmaker representing Sabangari Federal Constituency of Kaduna State, Detti Mohammed, recounted the hardship commuters go through on a daily basis as the route has become impassable. The lawmaker noted that the situation has further compounded the insecurity on the road as it has exposed commuters to the probability of terrorist attacks. The project, which was awarded in March 2021 with a delivery date of December 2022, suffered setback as a result of the rampant incidents of banditry along the route.
Distrust that, to worsen matters, the gridlock that was occasioned recently often left motorists and commuters stranded on the road, sometimes for between 6 to 9 hours, on a journey that should last not more than 1.5 hours. Anxious that there is a high probability that this gridlock will become a very recurrent occurrence in the immediate future. The Abuja-Kaduna Highway is the key outlet for transportation of persons, commodity, goods across Nigeria, and this is evident in the extraordinary traffic on it. Worried that the situation on the Abuja-Kaduna Highway has become a debilitating drawback for the Nigerian economy that, if not immediately rectified, spells doom for the economy and social life of Nigerians, contrary to Section 15, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which mandates the Nigerian state to provide adequate facilities for and encourage free mobility of people, goods, and services throughout.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. How tricycles displace taxis in Kano. Do stay. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is a news update on Trust TV. Let's take a recap of some of our top stories. We told you that the All Progressives Congress is to expand Tinubu Campaign Council, postpones inauguration. You also heard that court strikes out suit against varsity lecturers. Moving to health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has vowed to arrest beauticians engaging in the formulation of unauthorized chemicals with the intention of selling them to unsuspecting clients. It said the Investigation and Enforcement Directorate of NAFDAC has been given the directive to apprehend merchants of these dangerous products and bring them to book. NAFDAC Director General Mojisola Adeyeye, who disclosed this at the two-day retreat by the agency's top management committee in Lagos, warned that those who engage in abuse of bleaching agents risk skin cancer, damaged internal organs, and even death. In a statement signed by the resident media consultant to NAFDAC, Shayo Akintola in Lagos, Adeyeye warned Nigerians to desist from using unauthorized cosmetics and dangerous chemicals for bleaching of skin to enhance their beauty. Tougher times await drug barons and cartels operating in Nigeria if they fail to back out of their criminal trade and embrace legitimate ventures. Chairman and Executive or Chief Executive of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, gave the warning on Tuesday while leading stakeholders to witness the crushing and setting ablaze of 1.8 tons of cocaine recovered by the agency from a warehouse in Ikorodu area of Lagos last week. The report.
According to the Director, Media and Advocacy of the agency, Femi Babafemi, the NDLEA had, in a well-coordinated and intelligence-led operation that lasted 2 days last week, stormed a hidden warehouse at number 6 Olukunola Street, Sholebo Estate, Ikorodu, where 1.8 tons of cocaine were recovered and 5 suspects, including a Jamaican, were arrested. Following the historic seizure, which is the largest in the agency's history, an order of the Federal High Court in Lagos was obtained for the public destruction of the consignment. Speaking at the venue of the public destruction in Badagry area of Lagos on Tuesday, General Marwa was represented by the agency's Director of Prosecution and Legal Services and Deputy Commander General of Narcotics, Sunday Joseph, said the sheer volume of the drug haul, with street value put at 194.7 billion naira, speaks volumes about the extent of the nefarious activities of the drug underworld. He said this had made it imperative for Nigerians to continue to support the NDLEA in the renewed war against illicit drugs. He said out of the 1.8-ton seizure, 1,828 blocks of cocaine will be crushed and set ablaze, while the remnant will be secured for the purpose of prosecution of the suspects who were brought to witness the procedure and sign the certificate of destruction. Marwa said the fact that the Ikorodu operation was conducted clinically without any skirmish or bloodshed is further testimony to the evolution of the NDLEA and its new capabilities, and a pointer to the fact that the game has changed in the war against illicit drugs. He expressed appreciation to the agency's international partners, especially the American Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, that supported the cocaine syndicate bust, and the Nigerian military that provided additional firepower during the operation, as well as other law enforcement agencies that have been supporting efforts to rid Nigeria of illicit drugs.
Moving on to more stories. As tricycles continue to take over local transportation in Kano State, the popular taxi drivers are gradually moving out of the roads. In this report, our correspondent Idris Jibrin examines how the few remaining taxis are coping with passenger resistance within the metropolis. His report.
Muhammad Aminu is a taxi driver in Kano who is now forced to clean it because there is no passenger for him to carry. He says the tricycle operation has completely taken over his business along all the major routes known to be used by taxis.
You see, tricycle has taken over all the major roads we follow. And these roads include BUK Road, Zoo Road, Zaria Road, Maiduguri Road to bypass, and Rijiyar Lemu are the major roads we follow.
Few years back, taxis are known to be the popular and most reliable means of transportation within the metropolitan city of Kano. But with the advent of tricycle, popularly known as Adaidaita Sahu in Kano, this means of transportation is rarely seen on major roads of the state.
We
are indeed the backward. Now you see, this taxi is mine, but there are no passengers. Even this cleaning you see me doing is because I have no choice. I could not go out because even if I did, there are no passengers.
According to tricycle riders, because of the affordability and reliability of their business, they have left taxis with options to convert to tricycle or move out of business, even though there are risks associated with the tricycle operation.
Tricycle took over taxi because the passengers prefer to use it. It is the only means of transportation since the ban of motorcycle that can take you to any part of Kano State, no matter how narrow the area may be.
Although taxis still exist in some parts of Kano metropolis, but where it's known to be their major bus stop, are taken over by tricycle, the number of which keeps increasing virtually on daily basis. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has reiterated that the unity of Nigeria remains unshaken. The minister re-echoed his position in Calabar after a command performance by the cultural troupe of the Department of Culture and Heritage, Cross Rivers Ministry of Culture and Tourism. The performance is part of the activities lined up for the celebration of the 2022 World Tourism Day being hosted in Calabar. Speaking after the command performance consisting of dances and a stage play which centered on the unity and indivisibility of Nigeria, the minister underscored the importance of peaceful coexistence in the country. The 2022 celebration being hosted in Calabar, Cross Rivers capital, has the theme Rethinking Tourism. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the monetary policy rate, which measures interest rate, to 15.5% from 14% to tame rising inflation. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele made this known on Tuesday after a Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja. Emefiele said the committee voted unanimously to raise the MPR to a minimum of 15.5% and retain liquidity ratio of 30%. Given an explainer earlier, the Apex Bank's governor said members deliberated the impact of the widening margin between the current policy rate of 14% and the inflation rate of 20.52%. Away from Nigeria, the United States National Hurricane Center said Hurricane Ian strengthened into a Category 3 storm on Tuesday as Cuba and Florida, both in the storm's likely path, ramped up preparations to deal with high winds and potential flooding. The center warned in an advisory issued on Tuesday that Ian was intensifying and will soon make landfall in western Cuba. About 50,000 people in Cuba's western Pinar del Rio province moved to safer locations, 6,000 of them to state-run shelters and the rest to the homes of relatives and friends. In Florida, the city of Tampa was under a hurricane watch and Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency in all 67 counties as officials scrambled to prepare for the storm's forecast landing on Wednesday or Thursday. And finally, in sports, the International Basketball Federation launched an investigation on Tuesday after two Mali players were filmed fighting with each other after their team were eliminated from the Women's World Cup. The incident took place after Mali lost 68-81 to Serbia in their Group B clash in Sydney on Monday, their fourth straight defeat at the tournament. The fight between Salimatu Koroma and Kamite Elizabeth Dabo broke out as Serbia's Sasakado was being interviewed in the mixed zone. Koroma was seen throwing punches at the ball before other Mali players ran in to break the pair apart in front of a visibly shocked Kado. Mali is bottom of Group B with 4 points from 4 games and finished campaign against Canada later on Tuesday. They qualified for the tournament after African champions Nigeria pulled out, citing administrative difficulties around the sports in the country. The quarterfinals will take place on Thursday, followed by the semi-finals on Friday and the finals on Saturday. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.